I've been thinking through how to share my heart with you. I cannot speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself and for my community. The election is over. We have 4 years to get through together. I'm not going anywhere, and most of the people I know aren't going anywhere. So the big question is, how do we extend grace and love and understanding to one another as we navigate this very difficult time? I'm not sure if the words I'm about to share are going to mean anything to anyone, because I know that there are many people celebrating the recent election. But I'm hoping that my sharing with a heart of love and with a heart of grace, employers and leaders and bosses of people can hear what I'm saying and have a heart of understanding. There are a lot of people who are mistaking the grief, the frustration of those of us who did not want to see Trump win as it's about we just wanted a black woman. I'm not just speaking for myself. I've kind of had my ear to the ground. I've spoken to my own little community. Many of us weren't necessarily huge fans of Kamala. We just thought maybe she would be a candidate at this time who could possibly protect us from having a president who's so blatantly racist. It's about the fact that our country chose by a large number someone who has been blatantly racist. You may not believe it. You may not understand it, even though you've heard the words. You maybe have dismissed it and kind of rationalized it. Well, that's not really what he meant. But the things that he said to Kamala, it was almost as if I was talking to some other black women. It's almost as if he's talking to black women. The things he said about people of color or immigrants or anyone who wasn't white, many people of color felt like he's saying that to me. And someone has had the nerve to come into my comments and say, black people and people of color voted for him. Yes, they did. But it was a small percentage. It wasn't the majority of us. And many times, if you really talk to people of color have such a desire to be seen as equally American that often influences their vote in spite of the racism. I've seen it. I have seen black people that I have worked with will even celebrate racism if it allows them to be accepted. It's sort of kind of like the fact that Emmett Till, when he was murdered, a black man told the white men where he was living and was with them while they murdered him. Like, there have been Frederick Douglass, when he first tried to escape the plantation, another enslaved person, another black person, told the master he's trying to run away. It's an act that people of color and even immigrants often do. When they recognize who is in power, they will celebrate, cater to, and go along with, because that's where they want to be accepted the most. That's the approval that they want. And so we can't really determine, well, it was okay that we voted for him because a few black people and a few Latino did. And you don't have to understand that. And even as I'm saying that, there are people who are going to be offended by what I'm saying, and that's okay. I know that many of us feel extremely unsafe right now, unseen. We don't feel valued. We don't feel cared about by our country. And there's a grief associated with that. For many, many years, when black people go through racism to save our life, to save our job, to just kind of survive, to have some form of existence, we have learned to keep our mouths closed, to smile and just accept, well, this is what it is. I'm going to just try to get along and just still try to show these people who repeatedly show me that I don't matter to them, that I just don't want to offend you. There are bosses who, when people of color express their hurt over this election, instead of understanding the grief that we feel, are more concerned by, if you say that, you might offend someone. And yet that person is not dealing with the sense of rejection and fear we are fighting. If what I'm saying to you matters to you. Now, there are some people who voted for Trump but didn't want him to be the nominee, right? And they literally feel like, and this is, I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone, but I just want someone to hear me show some grace. There are some people who voted for Trump because that's all they could vote for to get the policies they wanted. And so I want to be clear. It's not that I hate anyone who voted for Trump. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that choice has alienated me. See, because no one cared enough, whether he was your last option, there were no other, after he became the nominee, you had no other choice. You had to make a choice that you felt was right for you, that made you feel more safe, more secured, that you felt preserved your religion, or maybe you did it because you felt it preserved your race, your belief system, your moral values. Whatever you felt, you made a choice to protect you. We live in a country, though, where Black people and people of color have never felt like, well, it's okay if we protect us. So, but many of us are at a point now after this last election, after everything this man has done, and people still said, this is the one we want. We are even more aware, we've always been aware, but that is such a blatant sign that we are unsafe. And so we are expressing the grief of that isolation, that rejection. I want to encourage you not to be so concerned that us expressing our grief is somehow going to offend you or someone else, because you're safe. And as we process this, in spite of the decision that's been made, that there's an understanding, don't dismiss it. There have been people coming into my comments saying the insurrection wasn't real. This, that. They think they can speak into my pain, my hurt, my suffering. And a lot of times in this country, we've done that, right? When a slave had a child taken from them and sold away, the master, you got to understand, I didn't have enough money. You'll be okay. You'll get another baby. Almost as if they have to define what hurts us. Oh, they should be grateful. I was taught that in school. We should be grateful that slavery saved us. We're tired of people who don't care about us defining how we should think and feel and process racism. So we're putting boundaries up. We are in protection mode. We're refocusing, right? We recognize they went through all those nominees and said, no, I don't want those. I want the one who keeps saying the racist stuff. I want the one who saw the Confederate flags and the Nazi symbols, throughout his election into the Capitol. I want the one who is fighting so hard to preserve himself and his people that he doesn't care who he hurts. That's the one I want. And so because people have made that choice, those of us who feel our well-being is jeopardized by that choice have a right to express that and have a right to protect ourselves. The only way we're going to get through these next 4 years is, instead of pride and mocking people who are genuinely hurting, we will only get through these 4 years by giving grace, understanding, and trying to navigate this space with some level of respect for humanity, even if you disagree. So understand why the boundaries are up. Understand the withdrawal. Understand the expressions of grief openly. And hopefully in the next 4 years, another chance will be given to us to make a better choice.